Yeah, I mean, with that film, if you take out the subject Islam out of it, it's really a movie about conversation. Conversation is all we have. And as Sam says in the movie, we've had enough violence. Let's try to have a better conversation. The subject matter is Islam, which is, by the default title of the movie, people think that it's somehow controversial. If you watch the movie, and I highly encourage your audience to go watch the movie. It's available on iTunes and Google Play and Vimeo. Please watch it to understand. We don't really take a side. The movie it doesn't have a solution for a problem per se. It is simply giving you the tools to have better conversations about a very complex subject matter. And we picked it because the conversation has been hijacked by two groups of people who doesn't seem to want a real solution. You have the political right who blame the entire world's problems and for a long time on one group of people, not understanding that 1.6 billion Muslims aren't the same. If you tell a Sufi, somebody who practices Sufi version of Islam versus a Wahhabi version of Islam, you would think, well, they're two different religions. It feels like it because they're so different, and that's what it is. And people also didn't, especially in the right, didn't realize the difference between who is a Muslim and what is Islam. One is a group of people and one is an ideology. And there are lots of cultural Muslims, right? And right was running with this narrative that the whole world's problem is because of this one group of people. And then you had my people, the left, were petrified by the idea of talking about something that they knew inherently goes against liberal values. They knew certain elements of this religion and some of its teachings was inherently problematic. They were okay to challenge Christianity quite openly and its issues of homophobia and range of other science denialism. But they were very scared to talk about that within this one ideology because they were worried it will give ammunition to the right who's running with it right now. And the byproduct of that was massively failed conversation. And I wanted to, having access to somebody like a Sam Harris and a Majid Nawaz, and Jay Shapiro, my co-director, we realized, we have to tell this story. And we hopefully, online has been quite kind in this regard. It seems like we've done an okay job.
Oh, that's good. Because I wanted to ask, what was the reaction to that? Because it seems like you didn't have a good reaction to the feminist event per se. Was it?
Yeah. I mean, this is the funny thing. I want to give credit to Christina of Summers, who desperately tried to get this message across. She made a point to say to Roxanne that if Sam Harris can talk to Jordan Peterson about God, who they fundamentally disagree with it, for hours and hours and hours and hours, and continue doing it, and if Douglas Murray can talk to Cornel West about political ideological differences for hours and hours, why can't Roxane Gay and Christina Summers have a conversation about feminism without resorting to what ended up happening? And when I made the movie of Islam and the Future of Tolerance, it was very well received. It was critically really well received. IMDb, we still have 9 out of 10. And I think it's only 1 or 2 people out of the 100, closer to 100 reviews that had a negative reaction, but the negative reaction was so far on the spectrum. That's why we had 9 out of whatever. Last I checked, on Amazon we have 5 out of 5 of 60 plus reviews. iTunes we have 5 out of 5. So the response, if you watch the movie, it's an intellectual movie. Regardless where in the spectrum you are with regards to this subject matter, I think you can appreciate the movie.
How do you guys decide on the topics you're going to cover in your work, your films, your events that you're going to have?
It's whatever. I mean, look, I started off, my initial idea was just touring my intellectual superheroes. it was like, I hope enough people cared about the stuff I cared about. That's how I started. But nowadays, it's more sort of we're looking out to see what issues are there, and who's talking about what, and what is helping us progress. So anytime there's a speaker or an intellectual who's talking about something that's helping us progress, that's sort of how I look at things, and that's what I want to give a platform to.
Do you ever get worried about your work, and because you do get such a strong reaction one way or another, does that ever get to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from a business perspective, I don't get sponsors. Like events in this space traditionally have attracted many sponsors, but I don't get sponsors because brands look up what we've done and they're like, no, you're too controversial. And it's very difficult. Like the feminist event, contrary to popular belief, it lost a ton of money. And, I knew I wasn't going to make any money. I thought I'd at least break even, but no, it didn't. And I still went ahead with it. And I knew I was going to lose some money months out, but I went ahead with it because I believe the conversation was important. And I do worry. And, now I have a couple of investors. Luckily, they see things in a different light, and they see as part of what they have been doing, investing in organizations that sort of pander to a certain ideology or not getting into controversial subject is the reason that world is so divided. So they feel like, okay, maybe we should fund people like you so we can have a bit of an equilibrium.
Right, like they can help someone in the space of intellectual conversations, but not one that is inherently one side or the other.
Yes, absolutely.
It's but yeah, we're learning every day what an interesting space that we're in trying to, make money as independent content creators, and also talking about topics that aren't always easy to hear, and how interesting that is when it comes to, advertisers or other, revenue streams.
Yeah, I know it's an ongoing challenge, and I hope you guys have figured out something. On the back. I mean, it came out on the back of the feminist event, but we are producing a lot of content, and we plan to produce a lot more content. We put out a podcast. We have a couple of video series online. We plan to produce more events and turn it into content, and we've got an awesome podcast coming out. We hosted by Jay Shapiro and Coleman Hughes.
We had Coleman Hughes on.
Yeah, it's Coleman is amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm going to see him on the weekend because he's in Australia.
Tell him I
I will pass on. But yeah, I think we have a job on our hand, and I think we should somehow. I think it is important. People like you and I, we figure out a way to have a reasonably successful business doing what we're doing, because if we do this and we are successful somehow, it will encourage more people to get into this space, and that means there'll be better conversations.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask, how did you come up with the name This Is 41?
42.
42. My goodness, I knew that. I don't know why I said 41. This is 42.
So I'm sure your crew may have, your team, there'll be some people who know the meaning of 42. If you're not sure,
everyone's nodding their head. Yes, I actually don't. I'm the only one here who doesn't.
Yeah, like the universe is what I'm saying. They will appreciate what I'm about to say. It would be a travesty if I take away from your journey you're about to have, finding out what 42 means.
Oh.
I shouldn't go online and just ask the question, what does 42 mean? And my tagline gives away a little bit of it. My tagline is find meaning. Go online, and if your audience they're not sure what 42 means, go, and there's going to be a meta journey that you will come out saying, "Oh my God, I didn't know," and then you'll start seeing it everywhere.
This sounds really intense.
No, it started off as a tongue-in-cheek thing, and it has a story of its own now grown. It's just a little bit of fun.
I will. I totally will. And maybe now you have to you're forcing our users to do the same thing too, which is kind of fun.
Yes, please do.
Well, Desh, is there anything else that you would like to talk about or cover that you don't think we got to?
No, I mean, look, as I said, I am incredibly grateful for you to inviting me. I love these conversations. I appreciate that. From where I come from and where I plan to head, I'm grateful for the privileges I have. And I think we covered a range of topics. It's been a fascinating conversation, and keep doing what you're doing. Only thing I'd like to add is, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm easily contactable. I'm on social media. There's a website, but keep following. This is 42. We will be putting on a lot of events, and I might actually. I don't know when this will come out, but we are actively working on launching This is 42 America, and this is not public knowledge yet. I may have jumped the gun. But so keep an eye out. I definitely want to work in America and put on a range of events over there.
Oh, wonderful. And where can people find you guys online?
Thisis42.com is our main website, and if you search for This is 42, you'll find all of our social media. I highly recommend following us on Facebook if you're on Facebook. I know we just bagged social media for a while, but this is the only way we can get to you. If you want a better way to get in touch with us, go to our website and subscribe to our email database. We don't spam. That is probably the best way. And YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and we will be putting out some solid content.
Yeah, and us too. Subscribe to us too.
This conversation, and hopefully if you get anything, obviously I'll be putting out this conversation to my audience, and I'll be telling everyone to subscribe to you guys. So again, appreciate what you're doing.
Wonderful. Well, Desh, thank you so much. I mean, like you just said, I was so excited that I came across the event because your work seemed to be so much in line with what we're trying to do, and so it's really nice to see other people sensing this problem of the lack of communication and trying to do something about it, trying to bring a little bit more lightness to the world. So, I hope this isn't the last time that we talk. But I'm so happy with like what we were able to talk about today. I think it was really cool.
Absolutely. Again, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Desh. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the episode. If you're interested in contributing to the conversation and supporting the show, there's 2 easy things you can do. 1, click subscribe, and 2, visit our Patreon page where you get exclusive access to the Exploring Minds community.